Hello. So just as a heads up, everyone will be muted until the end of the webinar, and then I'll be happy to answer any questions in the Q&A section once the presentation's complete. So I'm just going to wait a little bit longer and see if we have anyone else join. Hope you're doing well today. I'm going to send something through chat, but I don't know if it will pop up if someone else joins after I send it. So I'm going to hold off on that. But those are going to be some websites to bookmark, both our knowledge base and our platform that we'll be logging into. So I'll send that in just a moment. And I'll give it about 2 more minutes and then we can begin. All right, John, it looks like it's just you and me. So I'm going to send these links through. Like I said, these are good to bookmark. We have our Presence platform login, and then we also have our knowledge base as well. So we'll go through the Presence platform together. The knowledge base is really easy to use. Honestly, I use it myself every day to double check things. Any edit that you can do through the platform is going to be in there. Our search bar on there is going to be super, super helpful. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen. It is just us, but there may be other people that will join later on, but just in case, everyone's muted just to prevent any sort of audio feedback. And if you have any questions along the way, feel free to use the Q&A section and I can answer any questions once the presentation's over. And then, I have our contact information there in the chat window. Also, something I like to add, I'm going to add in our support email and our phone number if you ever need to reach us. Phone's obviously going to be the quickest and easiest way, but email works as well because those cases are routed to the next available representative. So here we go. I'm going to share my screen. All right, so let me move that. Here we go. So we have our handy dandy slide thread here. I'm going to move this out of the way a little bit. And we'll just go through this really quick. The last time I did one of these, we covered everything before I got to it. So just to start, this is our basic luxury presence webinar, and we're going to tour the platform mostly. Some things I've already said here, Q&A windows where we're going to put any questions. You can definitely add questions as we go, and then we can go over them a little bit later. So we're going to cover logging in, navigation, tools, how to contact the support team, and then we'll do our Q&A. And right here are our contact details, our phone number, email, and then I will share with you where that live chat button is in the platform as well. So everything else we kind of covered in our notes there. So we are going to start at our platform here. And this is what it's going to look like when you log in. So in the event that you ever forget your password, you can always click here to reset your password. If it's somebody who may be new to the platform and you're having trouble resetting your password, feel free to reach out to support because sometimes you may not be added just yet, and that forgot password link isn't going to work if the user hasn't been added. So from here, we are going to log in. I can remember this. All right, here we go. So this is what the platform looks like when you initially log in. Whoever the user is going to be, it's going to have their name there. We're going to have a couple of tutorials here at the top if there's anything that is new or something that, may be standing out at some point. We also have our one-click property sites, listing presentations, and CMAs. So this is all on the dashboard section of the platform. This is just going to be the first page. It's going to give you a very quick overview of what's going on. So let's see here. So from there, you can also scroll down. It's going to give some quick insights into visitors on the website. It's not going to go too far into detail here. This is just going to be a quick overview. And then a little further down, we're going to have lead events. And this is going to break down of the leads, where did they come from? Did they come from a contact form? Did they come from a newsletter sign up? Did they come through the home valuation? So this is just going to give you a brief overview of where those leads are coming from. And, that way you kind of know where people are submitting their information. A little bit further down is just going to be a brief overview of lead activity. This is just going to show, if you click on the name, it's going to take you to the lead. If you click on the page, it's going to take you to the page that they submitted the information below. So this is just a quick overview of any sort of activity going on. So that's just going to be the dashboard section there. Next is going to be contacts. This is going to be where your leads live. So the first tab is going to default to is going to be your leads. And you'll see one is enriched and others are not. The enriched data, it's coming from a third-party system, so it's kind of something to be taken with a grain of salt. We can't force it on any sort of leads, but if it's available, it will be added. But it's just additional information that you may not have right away. So for instance, you can see some demographics and contact information there. And this is only going to appear if it's enriched. Otherwise, we have our lead information. If we scroll down, we can see where that lead information was submitted. And then down here, we can see if there's any saved searches that are saved for this client where we can edit them, or if we wanted to create a new search. So in this platform, under the lead itself, this is where you can definitely be taking care of that lead activity and see what they're interested in. The lead routing tab, this is just going to be a quick overview of where those lead routing emails are going to. So for instance, property detail pages, they're going to default to the listing agent, or, you can set it so everything goes to one email. This is definitely something that you can play around with however you want to customize that, but that's just going to send that initial lead email that will come to you. The CRM integrations is going to live here, and really we're only going to see this if this is a direct integration. For instance, Follow Up Boss is a CRM that we do directly integrate with. I will be completely honest, it's one of the only ones. Otherwise, we are able to connect through a third-party app called Zapier. And when it's connected through Zapier, it is not visible here, but it's something that the team has been asking for a little bit. So hopefully that will be on the horizon. Lead events, this is where you can set up, for instance, if you have an ebook download element or any sort of specific element where people are submitting their information. With your CRM, you can add tags, you can add event types, you can list what exactly it is. That way, you just have things a little bit more organized with your CRM. In the event that you want to add a new event, we can always click this add new button and you can set it up that way as well. Now, one of the biggest tabs that you're going to be using on the platform is going to be the content tab. And rightfully named, this is where a majority of your content is going to be housed, and it is going to be synced with the live website. So we have agents, teams is more so comes into play if you have teams that might be bi-coastal. You might have a New York team and a California team. This is a newer feature, so we really don't see a whole lot of it implemented, but this is mostly going to be if you have multiple teams at your office. Blog posts, pretty self-explanatory. They're very easy to add. All you need is the title. An image is optional, and then the post body here. Once you have that, all you have to do is click publish. In the event that you wanted to save it as a draft, you can then select draft and save it that way. That way it won't initially go to the live website, but it will be saved in the platform. All right, developments. This is going to be if you have a specific development that you're representing. You can add information regarding that specific development. Please disregard this is in Latin, but it's just an example of what that would look like. From there, after you put in the location, you can also link specific properties or listings to that development as well. That way everything's kind of cohesive throughout the site. Neighborhoods, self-explanatory. This is where you're going to showcase the neighborhoods that you represent. This is where a lot of your SEO content is going to come from. Anything under the content tab, the more descriptive that you can be, the better it works for SEO because it's telling Google you have content that is very important for somebody that's looking for this specific neighborhood, for instance. We do have neighborhood data elements. These are going to come through a third party, but you can put in a section and it's going to provide information like an overview, demographics, school, those type of things. A question that we get a lot of times in support is, can we edit this? And unfortunately, we can either have it on or off. Once you set up the neighborhood, you're going to select the map. You can always draw if you needed to, and you just click and go, and it would just select any properties there. Or if you have a specific neighborhood, you can always click it in there. And this, just like the developments, you can also add properties to sync to that specific neighborhood. And on all of the content pages, we're going to have these bottom sections that are going to be SEO. The title is going to be the preview that you get in the tab when opening the website. The description is going to be if you were to share a link to this website, or if you see this link to the neighborhood on Google, this is going to be the description that shows up below it. So we're going to back out of here. Offices is going to be very similar to Teams. You can add an office if you would like, but we mostly see this when we are dealing with multiple offices. That way we can assign agents to specific offices or specific teams. Everything's pretty cohesive that way. Press releases, these are going to be anytime that you're mentioned in the news or in any sort of media where you did not write the content. So it's going to be similar to a blog, but whereas blogs, it's implied that that is content that you wrote, press releases is a place for you to kind of share where you've been showcased. So to add one, all you need is a title, an image, and a link to that specific article. Properties tab, this is going to be probably your biggest and most frequently used tab of the content tab. This is where you can see any sort of properties that have synced. You can see when they've synced, the status. In the event that you have to edit anything on a property, be it on the property details page or the property site, we're going to actually edit it here, and it's going to sync with the live website and with those property websites. So we would just click on the property itself. On these specific properties, they're linked to the MLS, so you can see where certain fields are grayed out. If we wanted to edit something that is grayed out, we would have to disconnect it from the MLS and turn off the sync to do so. Because we're overriding information that was synced to the platform, we would have to turn that off. But in this section, this is where you can select and assign an agent to a property. This is where you can select a neighborhood or a development if need be. If you're adding any sort of virtual tour URL, you can just add it here. Property videos, we absolutely recommend a YouTube or a Vimeo link for property videos. The reason being, the property video file limits are very low, and in order to deal or to not compromise any sort of quality of your video, it's just easier to upload it. That way we can showcase it in the way that it needs to be showcased. So once you have that YouTube link, you would just enter it here. Since we are not uploading a video, we would just hit the save button there. But anything else, if you have to edit any of these tags or anything like that, that would all be done here. Testimonials. Testimonials are very easy. These are going to be any sort of review that a buyer or a seller client has left for you. At this time, we don't have a way to auto sync any sort of testimonials, but they are very easy to add. Side note, some sort of auto sync is on the horizon, but we don't have a time frame on that just yet. So to add a new testimonial, we would click add new. The only fields that you have to add are going to be the author and the body. So once you add, if it came from Jane, we're going to put Jane's name there, and we're going to paste in the testimonial and hit save. So those are pretty easy to do. Next tab on the left-hand side is going to be listing feeds. Now, these are going to be feeds that you can join that other agents have set up with specific properties that they are giving permission for you to have on your site. Now, I will say that these listing feeds are at the agent's discretion in who they are allowing to join the feed. That's not anything that Luxury Presence has any jurisdiction over. But for instance, say you wanted to add this side San Francisco network, we would click on that. What we really want to look at is the members. A lot of times what we'll see is we'll see 3 members, and then we'll see plus 97, which means we have a total of 100 members. Each of these listing feeds do max out at 100 members, so that's something to keep in mind, because it will let you try to add yourself to the listing feed and it will give you an error, but it's more than likely because the feed is full. So in this section right here, this is something that was set up on our end. Just as an example, if you were to create one, you can manage the properties and then you can invite people. If you had people try to join your feed, you would get a some sort of, you would get an email notification that this specific agent is trying to join, and you can either approve or deny them. And you can see here where we have members set up that are tied to that specific listing feed. So they're given permission to showcase those properties. Next tab, going to be websites. This is going to be a big one where we work out of a lot. It's going to encompass both your property websites, any sort of agent websites, and your main website. So in this example, we have several different pages set up. We definitely don't have to pay attention to that, but in the event that you set up property sites, this is what they would look like here. And then we have our main website. So on any of these, you can see we have the option to view the website, or we have the option to edit the website with the pencil icon there. In the event that you needed to delete a property site, we would just click on those three dots and then select delete website. Now it's going to ask you to enter the website name. Shortcut here, as long as we copy and paste whatever is in those parentheses and then hit delete, it should take it, give or take if there's a space somewhere. And that's all you would do to delete that. So our next tab is going to be presentations. This is where you can set up a presentation for a certain property. Sometimes you can do one on an agent. And this is also where you're able to set up the digital CMA. You would just select new presentation and it would just walk you through the steps. Last but not least is going to be reporting. This is where you're able to see the reporting for all of your websites. So it's going to default to the main website, and then you can select from that drop down if you wanted to look at any of the property sites and look at their details. But it just highlights the website visits, any sort of traffic. It does give you data based off of what browsers someone's using. This isn't filled in on our example, but you would see popular web pages a lot of times. Oh, here we go. Let's load. A lot of times the first entry on there is just going to be a / that's going to be your home page. But after that, you would see the pages listed in order of highest views. Traffic channels, similar to what we saw on the dashboard. This is going to just go over where those leads are coming from. And then you're also going to have website time. This is going to give you a time frame of hours that your website is looked at the most. As you can see when we do our webinars there on our example. So from there, we have two more fields here. The first one's going to be notifications. This is going to be any sort of changes that were made, anyone that was added, just some general information there. And this bottom circle is going to be the profile. And this is where you're able to access settings. If you have to contact support, you can do so there. But if we click on settings, it's going to take us to our profile. So just as a hint, the first three fields, the first name, last name, and email address, that's not anything that you ever want to mess with, because that's going to mess with your login to the platform. However, the lead alert emails, this is going to be the main email address where those lead alert emails go to. So if they ever need to be updated, they would be done so in the lead alert email section. And you would just type in email. And then before you go to save, you would hit the tab button to turn it into a button there. And then the website domain, that's going to be very straightforward. We wouldn't want to change that as well. So users, this is where you see all of our luxury presence employees added to as users. So you can see the role that we have them listed in. There's going to be admin, member, and there's going to be read only. There are different user roles. That's something that can be found in the help center. But I do want to let you know if you have somebody that's making regular edits to your website, you do want to add them as an admin because there are specific things that members do not have access to. And then of course, read only is going to be read only. As you can see on this member right here, it's showing as pending invitation. So that's somebody that's been added to the platform that hasn't yet set up their login credentials. So this is how it, like, say if Kevin reached out to us and he's saying, well, I can't log in, it's not taking my email. We can see that the login credentials are not set up. And from there, we can click on his user and we can resend the invitation email so he can get logged in. And same thing if we were to click on a user and say that they can't remember their password. If we're in the platform already, we can select this reset user password link, and that will automatically email them the reset password email from the system. So in the event that you ever have to dive into that, that's really all you do. Connected accounts, this is going to be where you would add an RSS feed if you have one. And this is where you would connect your Instagram account. So this is something that you would do on your side. This isn't something that support can help with because it requires you logging into the Instagram account here. Last one is going to be home search settings. This is where you're going to set the default map for the home search tool. So if you ever need to change that, that's where we would do that. Then we just hit save. Last button that we have is going to be this little yellow button down here on the right. That's going to be the chat with bot button. So what this is going to do is this is where you're able to talk to the bot. If it's something as simple as a quick little article, like how do I add a video to a property, that's something that the chatbot can send over to you. Obviously, if it's something a little more complex, you do have the option to speak with a representative, and we have our chat representatives available pretty much 24/7 at this point. So if you ever are working in the platform and you need to just get some direction on how to do an edit, it's a good way to connect with the team. And we also have tools and resources where we can record a quick video for you to show you how to do it, or we can connect a different way and we can set up like a step-by-step walkthrough of that. All right, so let me just double check. All right. So it looks like we have covered everything on the platform that we are looking to cover. Why is this like this? Um, do you have any additional questions that maybe something that we haven't yet gone over that you would like to see while we still have a couple of minutes? Feel free to put those questions down in the Q&A section. I'll be happy to go over those. And honestly, as somebody who does website edits all day, every day for clients, I will say the more you play around with the platform, the better you'll get, kind of seeing where you make an update and where it updates on the live site. There's not a whole lot that you can do that will mess anything up that we can't fix. So that's going to be like the biggest thing that, like, don't be worried about it. We can almost always undo something. We can't, if you're entering like a blog and it doesn't save right, we can't recover something like that, but we can almost always, get you squared away. So John, you have a question. How many neighborhoods can you add? So at this time, there isn't currently a limit. Now, I will say we've had some clients run into issues where they're adding an excessive amount of neighborhoods, and I'm talking in the 200 plus category. At that point, we kind of started to run into some issues because on the properties and on the elements themselves, they're not set up to load 200 neighborhoods to choose from. So there's not really a limit, but we do suggest, like 10 is usually a good number to keep it around, because we really want to focus more on your areas of expertise versus anything that might fall in that category. All right, so next question from Jeremy. Curious if we can lead route the MLS search signups. So, yes, we can lead route, and I'm gonna share my screen again. Let me see. All right, hold on. So when these leads come through, like for instance, like Stephanie Bennett, for instance, she had created an account in our home search tool. Now, and we can see the saved search that they have. And in the event that we needed to edit it, we can do that there. But any additional activity that this client is going to have, like say that they favored a property or anything like that, the original lead is going to go in there and there will be additional lead activity, but you won't get a lead alert email in the same way that you would get it if they have never submitted their information. So I would definitely recommend like checking in on their lead details if there's something that you're specifically looking for with that client. Um, and that's going to be the best way. So in the event that you have a CRM signed up, now it's going to sync your leads with that CRM, and at that point, you can set up any sort of follow-up that you're looking to set up. But as far as from the system itself, really the only thing that we can do for the leads at this time is create a saved search. So that's going to be, and that's something that's on the newer spectrum for the platform. So yes, with Follow Up Boss specifically, if a new lead signs up through the IDX search, yes, okay. So there's a couple of ways to do that, but that lead routing specifically would be something that would be done on Follow Up Boss's side once that lead is hits the system. And that's kind of where those lead event tags pop in when you see that something's coming from the MLS search or the home search tool. You can set it up on Follow Up Boss's side to then round robin and get that set up however you'd like. So that's something more on the CRM side than on our side. As you can see right now, we're a little bit limited. But like I had mentioned earlier, I think it was just me and John in here at the time, but the CRM functions for the platform are coming. It is something that is on the horizon. At this point, we don't have a time frame for that, but at this time, we have to kind of work with the CRM to make sure that lead flow is all set up for you. You're so welcome. Does anybody else have any additional questions for today? All right, I'm going to take that as a no. I'm going to let you guys go, but definitely reach out to us if you have any questions. Our advanced webinar does go a little bit further into detail, but that's just going to give you a general overview of how to use the platform. And then that help desk or that help center also comes in handy if there's any sort of edits that you're looking to make. That search bar, anything that you're able to do is there. It's something I use all the time, every day, and I've been here for over 2 years. It's always good to have a reference. Sometimes you just second guess it yourself, or sometimes you're just like, I have no idea. I know I did it, but I don't remember how. So we definitely have different resources, but support's always here to help if you guys have any questions. But I'm going to let y'all go. You guys have a great rest of your day and have an excellent Monday.